Welcome to Here Where You Belong, your go-to podcast for exploring belonging with your host and belonging expert, Dia Irby. We are thrilled to have you join us. Together, we'll dive into the depths of what it means for each of us to find our own place in the world, whether it's within our communities, our relationships, or within ourselves. Today's episode is meant to inspire, uplift, and remind you that no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. So, grab a cozy spot and settle in. Welcome to Here Where You Belong.
Hello, awesome belongers. Welcome home to Here Where You Belong podcast. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to someone whose message is so aligned. There's no question that they found their place here to share their stories. I'm Dia, your host. Get ready to be inspired and blessed. And our guest today will maybe make you laugh a bit. Let's welcome Jessica Danel. Hey, Jessica.
Hey, Dia, thank you so much for having me on.
You are so welcome. Here is a bit more. Get ready. Jessica, an author, podcast host, and lifelong entrepreneur whose life reads like a roadmap of resilience and faith. In her memoir, Bucket List from a Redneck Girl, Jessica shares a remarkable journey from a small town upbringing through trauma, reinvention, and deep healing, always guided by grit, grace, and a wicked sense of humor. She's also the voice behind the Jess Saying podcast, where she dives into unfiltered conversations about parenting, relationships, and the courage it takes to grow. Jessica reminds us that belonging isn't about fitting a mold. It's about standing in your own story. Wow. See, amazing guest today. Jessica, do you have any additions, subtractions, or corrections to that introduction?
Well, that's a loaded question because I like to chit chat. So, I did write a book about my crazy life, and I truly believe that everything I've been through, it's all part of God's plan. Um, in my book, I talk about it's funny because each chapter is so different. I when I was little, I had a lazy eye, so I had surgeries on my eye, and they used to call me Popeye. The kids were at school was so mean.
Thanks.
It's terrible. And
So
so,
does this feeds into your belonging story?
yeah, so they used to call me names. So one of my second chapter is called Popeye Girl because it talks about my story of it's funny because all the chapters that I write as I am thinking of it when I was that age. So you'll see some primitive thoughts like, when I'm 5, I'm having these 5-year-old thoughts and I'm telling you about how I was feeling at that time. But as I grow through the book and growing up and start adulting, I find that God's put me through so many different things so that I was like my daughter, she has special needs and she had open heart surgery at 5 months, and she's got a lot of health issues, but I believe, and her heart condition will require her to have surgery every 10 years.
Wow.
So I know that I went through surgery so that I can help my daughter who has this anxiety like to level 10, so I can help guide her through her journeys of her surgeries and all the things that she has to do. And I truly believe that my story is like all these things I've gone through is like to help my kids and my friends and the people that I'm talking to on my podcast to walk through life and help them understand that like they're not alone.
Like the verse that says he will comfort you with the comfort with which you can comfort others.
Right.
Totally
Exactly.
living it out.
Exactly. So yeah, like when I was younger, in the back of my book, it says, I have to read it. It says, Marsha, 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 if you understand what that means, then you'll appreciate this book because I was like the middle child. I had the middle child syndrome. That was me, like in a big way. I had an older sister, an older brother, and a younger sister. So I was the middle girl. And my brother, who could do no wrong, was like the golden boy. And so I just didn't feel, and I was always disciplined differently. One of the chapters in my book is called The Belt, the Hand, or the Hanger, because that's how I was disciplined by my father. And no one else in my family was treated that way, just me. But I do believe I was a little, I know, I talked to my mom about it. And she goes, yeah, nobody else had that? And I go, yeah,
You were
mom.
just bad, that's all.
No, I was a brat probably, but some of the things I did were not that big of a deal. But my mom has apologized. She recognizes that that wasn't right. And I have a really strong relationship with my mom, but you won't believe it reading the beginning of the book. Like my parents put me in a drug rehab when I never did drugs. Still to this day, never done drugs. I'm
What?
not even a big drinker. I don't smoke cigarettes. They just saw the worst in me all the time. I just don't know what it was. And in high school, I was the cross country, track, and basketball. I was a school photographer. I was on the yearbook. I wrote for the school newspaper. I was the band photographer. I just got great. I got medium. I got C's. Okay, grades. Because I just got by. That's kind of how I was in high
But you
school.
were busy doing life.
Right. And in college, I got straight A's. But in high school, it was just to get by. So, whatever. And I just felt like my parents just always saw the worst in me, always saw the worst in me. And I just never really belonged. And I talk about my dad. He kicked me out when I was 9 years old. And so I'm like,
Wait, what?
yeah, yeah, my dad kicked me out when I was 9 years. Get out. I'm like, okay. Crying. I was crying. I was walking to
Where,
7
where'd you
Eleven.
go at 9 years old?
I was walking to I talk about it in the book, but I was walking to 7-Eleven. I thought maybe they'll give me a free Slurpee or something. And but then my dad, about 20 minutes down when I was walking, he basically came and said, "Get in the car." Like, he can't, he knew that if I made it somewhere, I would be calling the police. So
So
um
there's a study in your dad. How is he now?
he passed away like 10 years ago. But I don't have any love lost for my father, although it's terrible to say, but I do have a chapter in the book, and I don't really. It's too painful to talk about, but and it's my story. It's not my sibling's story, but it's called Pretend You're Asleep. And so I don't really want to talk about it in depth, but if you read the book, it does talk about it. But my dad was a hardworking man. Like he drove 45 minutes to work and 45 minutes back. He always worked 7 days a week, and he provided for 4 kids and a wife. I mean, but he was an ass, if I can say this. Like my mom broke her back. Okay, here's the story in the book. I'm going to tell it to you now. When we were younger, and this was, I mean, I was 4, I think 4 or 5, and I was young. And my sister was 2, so no, I had to have been 6 because we're like 4 years apart. We were stepping on a crack, break your mama's back. Bible, I swear, I swear. We were singing that song. My mom bent down to pick up my little sister, and she broke her back. She didn't know she did it.
No.
I swear. In fact, everything in my book is true. You won't believe it, but I swear on every Bible, it is so true. So she broke her back, didn't know, right? So she picks up my little sister, and this is when you can wait for your spouse or your loved ones at the gate. And my dad gets off, and my mom's like, "Oh, I don't know, something's wrong. I hurt my back really bad." And he goes, "Don't embarrass me in front of my coworkers." And then he took his overnight bag and slumped it over her shoulder while my mom had the baby in one hand. And he goes, "Let's go." And she had to carry it all the way to the car and at the Sacramento airport, all the way down, all the way to the car. Because my dad was not a good person. So like he treated her terribly. And when she broke her back, there's more into it. He would make her make dinner with her broken back when she got home. There's a lot of things, so many stories in the book that you won't believe, and you'll totally see my progression of why I ended up like, see you later with my dad. But they stayed married until he passed away. They were almost 47 years married. And so my mom stayed in it because um, she always
It's the
had.
known, it's the familiar evil. You
Yes.
don't know what you're going to get if you trade it in. And there was
Yeah.
stability because he did provide.
Yes. And she also got in a skiing accident and hurt her knee and was in and out of hospital my whole life, and in a hospital bed in the living room. I had to be the cook and the cleaner of the family. I turned out to be like the domestic wife of everybody. It was just terrible. It was not great. But the funny thing is that I also rebelled a little bit. Like I've had enough of it, and my mom and I we fought over the littlest, stupidest things, and did not like each other very much. Now we totally understand one another. I am just like my mom.
Without the
um,
broken back, I hope.
no, I don't have any of those problems, but we call each other a couple times a week, and we share all of our weekly stories together, and we're very close now. So um, everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
When you grow up and start having your own family, my mom always says the magic year is 27 years old. That's when you start realizing, like, oh crap, like that wasn't as what I thought, or things wasn't like this wasn't what I thought it was. Like you grow up and you become an adult, and you kind of see that, like, oh, my poor mom, look what she had to go through. Like, like I
Right.
realized some things, you know what I mean? And in fact, this whole book was like an eye opener. At the end of the book, I pull it all together at the end, and I call it Mastering My Mistakes. And I just walk through my life, and I explain like how I realized things I did never realize. And it took writing the book to help me do that. So
It was almost therapy, right?
yes. Yeah.
Therapeutic to get it out and see it
Yes.
on the paper.
And another thing, okay, so my high school, I always talk about this because I want people to know that there are people out there still grieving about this. My high school was one of the first high school shootings ever. Like in 1992, the Rodney King verdict came out on April 29th, and then they had riots. And then the next day they had riots. The next day was Monday. And that is when we had, I think Monday, that was the first. And that's when our high school had a mass shooting. Eric
What
Houston
high
came,
school? What was that high school?
It's called Lyndhurst High School, Lindhurst. Lyndhurst. And Eric Houston came into our school. He was a friend. We all knew him. Most of us all knew him. He went to school with us. Came into our school and killed four. Killed Mr. Brenz. He was a civics teacher, and he killed three others. And held 80 hostages for like 12 hours. And then he shot nine other, like terribly shot them, like shoulders off, massive damage. It affected our town in a big way. But we
Absolutely.
but we pulled
What
together.
year was that again? What year?
1992.
92.
Yeah,
Wow.
92. And they did a movie about it. I think it's called Siege at Johnson High is one of the titles. There was like two titles they named it. I think maybe somebody else picked it up and renamed it or something. But Ricky Schroeder, the guy from Silver Spoons. So Ricky Schroeder was in it. Freddie Prinze Jr. and Henry Winkler starred in the movie. But we didn't get a lot of notoriety. We always talk about, like, had they given our school a little bit more thought, maybe Columbine wouldn't have happened. Like that happened in 2000, and ours was 1992. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And 8 years to get ready.
right, right. And so it was just it affected our community in a big major way, and I write about it in the book, my perspective of it all. And that's part of my book. I mean, my book goes through all things. You're getting me from birth until I got married. I had a Jerry Springer wedding. My family couldn't get over themselves to give me a day. Like I couldn't even have the day. It was terrible. And I
How
talk
old
about
were
that.
you? How old were you?
I think I was, oh my gosh, I think I was 26, I think, when we got married. Yeah. We dated 3 years, and we've been married 25 years, but we dated 3 years. We've been together 28 years. And it's going strong still.
Way
Took
to
her together.
go.
I'm just kidding. No, I married person like my father, in the way that he works really, really hard, and has always worked very hard to support our family and give us a really nice, cushy life. And he's funny. My husband is just a funny guy and brightens up my world every day. I laugh every day with him, and I think laughter is like the glue that keeps us together.
It's the best medicine.
Yeah, it is. Laughter is wonderful. But let me just tell you about another story in my book that I really want to say, and I'm telling your audience, it is 100% true. Okay, so I did rebel a little bit. My girlfriend said, "Okay, your mom and dad are out of town. Let's go to Utah in your new car." And it wasn't a new car; it was a Chevy Citation. It was a repo that my dad gave me for graduation. I was 17 years old. I already graduated high school, and I was going to move out in 3 months because I did not want to live at home anymore. Right? I had
Well,
already
you
packed
were
my bags.
already an adult.
Yes. So my mom and dad were gone, and they asked me to go. My friend asked me to go to Utah to go to her boyfriend's house. He's some cowboy, I guess, on a ranch. And I was like, okay, let's go. Like, I don't care. Like, I've got some money, you got some money. And she's like, oh yeah. And so back then gas was $1. So or $1.09 or whatever. And so we get there and I call my brother to check in. I'm like, I'm with Brandy and I'll be home tomorrow, you know. And he's like, you better come home. Mom and dad are calling the police because you're a runaway now. And I'm like, runaway? I'm moving out of the house. Why are you calling me a runaway? And I was like, Brandy, we got to go back home. And so the next morning we were going to go and we get in the car and I telling you this, it's so true. I am the worst at directions, even to today. Someone goes, we're going to go east, right? I'm like, I don't know.
Unintentional runaway.
I go, I don't know. I have no clue which way is east. Like, don't even ask because I had no clue. And so I'm like, north? Is that way? I don't know. Like, I don't know. So we get in the car and we're on our way back to California from Utah and we end up in Idaho.
Right. That's so good. Right.
And no money and out of gas. And I swear to you when I tell you that God guided us exactly where we needed to be and we made it home safely with money in our pocket. I'm telling you, it is a story that it is so true. And I'm not lying. It's absolutely the truth. And it is my evidence that God walks with me everywhere I go and is protecting me. Because I sometimes can't protect myself because I'm such a ding dong. I'm like, I got lost going the wrong way. And I was a lost little lamb and God guided me. And so I call that chapter my God story because if ever there was evidence that God exists, that is it in that chapter for sure. And I don't know.
Love that. Yes. It is amazing. It's like the oil that would never run out, or the wine that just was there, and God can supply, or the feeding the 5,000, putting gas in the car when you're sure you don't have any, and the car still goes.
I'm telling you, it is God's honest truth. I was raised Catholic, so I am not one that Catholics really aren't taught scripture. I am somebody that I went to school to a church twice a week, and I talk about in my book a lot about all the different um, um, religious paths that I was on. Like my friends, one of my best friends' dad was a pastor, and my friends had a different church, and I went to a Catholic church, and it was like I was always in some church. It was just all different. I don't consider myself Catholic today. I have Catholic guilt, which is like you can't get rid of it. But I go to a non-denominational church to now, and every time I walk into church, I have to bring tissues because the Holy Spirit just touches me so much. I mean, I'm just going to chill right now, just thinking about it. That I go to church, it fills me up, and my spiritual bucket, I always say, and I get moved, and I'm moved to tears every time they sing. I can't even hold it together. My friend goes, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I can't help it. I just can't help it. This is." And so I talk about in my book about my different paths that I've taken, but I also talk. One of my chapters is called "Finding the Breadcrumbs," and that is what God is leaving in front of you. He's like, sometimes I feel like there isn't okay. God spoke to me, and this might sound a little hokey, but God spoke to me and told me to go get my master's degree. And so, and I to explain how the clues that he gave me, all these different clues, and it's all true. Every bit of it, the story is the truth. And I had to go to my husband. I'm like, God's telling me to go get my master's degree. Can I get it? And he said, whatever your path is, man, go for it. He goes, I'm all for it. He goes, because he has a master's degree. And he's like, just do it. Yeah. And he goes, whatever your path is. But I had to go tell him that the reason why I'm going is because God told me to. And he looked at me like, what? And I'm like, I swear it's the truth. And in my book, I talk about all the little breadcrumbs that God was showing me. And it's so moving. And anyways, I could ramble on. I can't.
Well, we don't want you to keep talking because we want people to go read the book. If you
I
can,
know. Well, I'm not telling you. I mean, talk about going to private school with the nuns too. Like the nuns were terrible. I talk about that. I mean, I do kind of get a little personal. I talk about losing my virginity and how that happened. It's a little personal, but it's a funny story. A lot of my stories are super funny. Like you'll find humor in almost every chapter, and you might cry in some. But you'll be like moved to. I mean, and you'll laugh. There's definitely a lot of laughter in my book. I laugh when I when I read it sometimes, and I'm like, and I'm the one writing it, and I still laugh at myself. I'm like, that's so funny. You will too, I promise. Promise.
Well, before we spill all the beans, we're going to take a break here and be right back with the fabulous Jessica Danel. Thank you, Jessica. We'll be right back. Hey there! Isn't my guest amazing? So glad you joined us today. In this world that often feels disconnected, building community and fostering belonging are essential. That's why I created this podcast, to bring inspiring people to you, to encourage you to create that sense of belonging and community, no matter where you are. If you're being blessed by my guest, and we have some more, like, subscribe, and share this podcast. You know who needs to hear this. Stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember, you belong. Now, back to our amazing guest. And we are back. Oh, what fun. Jessica Danel. Yes. Now, if you've watched the podcast, you know I have my 3 favorite questions. The first one is, Jessica, what do you consider is your greatest accomplishment?
Well, I am a mommy, and that was, something. My bucket list was one of the things I wanted to be was a mom and a wife, and ding ding, I got those done. I would say being a mommy and a wife were my favorite, most precious. But I also built $1 million preschool from my living room, so I talk about that in the book too. Yeah, so I would say that too as well. The 3 things I think that I've done, and my book.
And your book.
You know how people always say, like, oh my God, like, okay, so I wear my personality on my sleeve. Obviously, this is me all the time. This is me in a nutshell all the time. So I always say I wear my personality on my sleeves, and I carry all of my stories in my back pocket. And I would always tell my friends, and all these different times, these different things going on in my life. And they're like, oh my God, you should write a book. That is so funny.
Write a book.
And so I did. And I know there are many people out there with so many stories in their back pocket. All they have to do is put it on paper. And it's not as hard as you think. Really.
Well, tell me about your process, because I talked to one guest and it took her 30 years because she would write and she would stop and she would write and she would stop, but it was a harder book to write. But
Yeah.
you, how long from okay, or like what was the impetus? What made you say, no more in my back pocket, I am going to write this?
Well, I have a lot of downtime sometimes at my job. And I was just sitting there I'm like, might as well start writing stuff down. And that's what I did. And legit, it took me 2 months to write. And then
Well,
it took me,
it's probably a lot of these stories. It's not like I have to go back and remember. You have been telling all these stories all these
right.
years.
And then also I utilized my mom, because I would say, Mom, remember when we were saying step on a crack, break your mama's back? She goes, yeah, and this happened, and then this happened. And I go, and I remember this. She goes, yep, and then this happened. And then she would tell me this, because she always tells me stories. She was somebody that always, like me, would tell stories, and I would always remember her stories. And they became my stories of things that I've encountered, or I would remember back then, because my mom would say, remember this. And so she always told stories as well. So it only took me 2 months, but it took me a lot for the rewrites, because, you have to,
That's the trick. Yes. So
yeah.
how long did that take? And did you have a concept editor and a line editor? And did you
Okay.
self-publish? What?
Okay. So what I did was I edited it for about 6 months until I thought it was perfect ish. I
Yeah.
used Grammarly, which helps,
Yes.
the premium package, and I used AutoCrit, AutoCrit, and you put your chapters. I would go by chapter, put it in your AutoCrit, and it'll tell you, or you put your whole document there, but it would tell you you're using too many of these words, too many always. Too many, because I use the word like a lot. Like in my conversation, I use it. I
Like
don't
in
mean
your
to.
conversation.
Yeah. I'm like, like, and so it would tell you, like, okay, you've used 85 of these, take out 65. And so, and then you'd have to rewrite those sentences. And so that's how that went. And I did that until I thought it was perfect. And then I submitted it to Christian Faith Publishing, and
Oh,
which is, yeah, it's kind of like a hybrid publishing where you're self-publishing, but it's really not. There is a fee, a small fee into it. And then they did all the rest. They gave me they said you get like 3 or 4, what do you call it?
re-
Proof,
revisions?
yeah,
Re-
edits. I'm
Edits.
sorry, some edits. And but they said, Manny, it's written really good. It's because I self-edited myself, but mostly. And so they said, this is great. And it was more of just like, you use the wrong dash, like the kind of dash you're not supposed to use. This one, you're supposed to use this one. I was like, okay. And so
That's
then
a
they just,
line editor. Every little line. Yes.
yeah. And so they said, and then it went that process. It took about a year before it really came to market because I had the person that was in charge of my account. They kept leaving. And so I'd have a new person and then a new person. And it was like 3 people. I got through 3 people. And in fact, it went to market and I didn't even know. And I was on the phone with the IRS lady because, I swear, we always have to pay taxes at the end of the year. So I was calling the IRS lady and I was telling her about my book and I go, but you can't get it yet. And she goes, yeah, you can. I just looked it up. It's right there on Amazon. So the IRS lady told me my book had been launched and I didn't even know it.
Did
I
they
was
not do some kind of launch program where
I was so ticked off. And the other thing about this company that I'm working with, they won't do advertising for it until the auto book is done, not the ebook. The ebook is out, but the auto book. And so when the auto book is done, then they do their launch. They'll do all the advertising that they promise you. So I actually got a book promoter to help me, but then that guy didn't. It took him 4 months to get my website done. I'm like, I just not did not have a good go of it. So I'm doing all of my own self promoting the best I can. I started a podcast and to talk about some of the stories that I mentioned. There's a lot more that I did not mention that I do discuss.
book two? You've got a second book coming out, right?
Well, I am going to write I'm going to write a second book, but it's a romance novel.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was going to be part of the other question. I think you're going to ask me, what am I going to do next? I'm going to write a romance novel, and I am actually on chapter 5. So it's
That's
something
awesome.
different. It's
So
something different.
we encourage people to write your stories because whatever you went through is not the first person that's ever gone through it, and how you came out of it can help somebody. So
Right.
share your stories, and it's
Can I just say something real
not a
quick?
cakewalk.
Right. Can I just say something real quick?
Yes.
So when I wrote my story and I felt like it was good enough to send to a publisher, I wanted my friends, my good friends, that I actually dedicated the book to read it. And I went to Postnet, which is like a Office Depot or a place where you get it printed and then they'll mail it for you. But they printed it and then I went in to see them, and the people behind the counter, there was 3 of them, and they're like, hope you're not mad, but we downloaded your book. And it was before it got really edited it's raw. It's like my draft, my very like first draft, really. And they go, we love it. And one girl goes, I found a part of myself in your book, in your words. And then the little boy, I say little boy because they're all younger than me, but this young man was like, it is so good. And he goes, are you going to let your mom read this? And I go, yeah, one of those is for my mom to read. They're like, at the very beginning, I am not nice to my mother. I say not nice things, and it's a shocker. Like the first page is like a kind of a shocker. So anyways, yes, I did let my mom read it. She loved it, and she gave it to friends to read, the unedited version too, and they all read it within a day. They loved it too. So, it's an
How long
easy.
is it? How
It's
long is
like
it?
200 pages, less like 198.
Good size. Good size.
Yeah, it's like an easy read. You could take it on the airplane with you and have it just an enjoyable, like you will have a good time with it. I think, it's one of those books you could read by the pool. It's not going to be boring. You're not going to want to put it down. You're going to want to finish it. So
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So that's your greatest accomplishment. And there are more to come, I know. What makes you feel like you belong? Now, I can read how you answered that question, or you can just give me, what do you want? You want me to read
I
it
want
to
you to,
you?
I put a lot of thought into that when read it. So, cause I know I'll probably come up with some stupid thing, right?
Some other things.
Some
For
other thing.
me, belonging starts with faith, even in the hardest moments when life felt chaotic, uncertain, or lonely. I've always had a deep, unshakable sense that God was walking with me. That connection has been my constant reminder that I am never truly alone, that I am loved, guided, and part of something greater than myself. My faith anchors me in purpose, gives me courage, and reminds me that I belong, not just here, but in the bigger story God is writing. So beautifully written. And I know that came from the heart, from the real, you were just saying what it
I'm just
feels like
saying.
to belong. And oh, how can we help people find out that they too can belong? It seems like the world is so full of lonely people.
I know. I know. And right now, I mean, a lot's going on right now with our nation and
The whole world.
the whole world. Yeah. It's like it weighs on your shoulders, kind of like just the question alone. I'm like, I feel a heaviness. Like, I feel like I want to help people be, have a good relationship with Christ. And um, part of my podcast is to talk about these stories. And that's part of the question that I might want to answer is like, I want to build a community where people do feel like your podcast, like we're here because we belong. But I want moms and dads, but I know my podcast is geared towards girls because guys don't want to hear me talk. But
That's
I think that
okay.
I think that my podcast is building a community of moms that sometimes feel like they have mom guilt because they are doing too many things and have a hard time balancing, and they forget about themselves. And sometimes, they have to get a romance novel and go kick it in the bedroom by yourself. And I'm trying to give people permission to do that. Like I'll do a podcast about a romance novel, and we'll talk about how important it is for moms to get their fiction fix, or you know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to build a community I'm trying to build a community, and a community is where you belong. And so that's what I'm doing with my podcast. And I do think that people will find a piece of themselves in my book. And I want people to know that like if I'm I can see the breadcrumbs that God has laid for me. And I think that if you just try, you'll see them too. Like sometimes I'm just like, even when I'm like in traffic, I'm like, God parted that. And like, thank you, Lord, for that. I mean, like, thank you. I'm getting there now quicker because you helped me. Like I tried to thank him for all the little things that I can see that he's doing for me. And if you just open your eyes and you see,
Absolutely. Well,
right.
that's the thing. There's a saying, and I don't know who to attribute it to. I'm sorry. A man finds what he looks for. And that's also, there's a scripture verse that says that if you focus on something, that's all you're going to see. So if
Yeah.
we are looking for breadcrumbs, we'll see breadcrumbs.
Right. Yeah. Like open your eyes. Like
Yeah,
if you,
open your eyes that you may see glorious things from his word, or just open
yeah.
your eyes and see the who God is putting in your life and the blessings that you have, and focus on there's a lot of this, positive thinking. Well, hello, that's what God tells us to do, to think on the things that are honorable and true and pure, and instead of all the heaviness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
I do feel a lot of weight on me, but I don't know. That's why I walk my path and on my journey, but I live through laughter. And I try to bring joy in that way and brighten the days of people that are, having hard times. Maybe they can come on to my show and giggle that I make fun of myself a lot. Like I try. I just
Deprecating.
don't take myself too seriously.
As
you know,
none of us should. We
no,
should.
right,
Right. I like to tell people you can be uh, a free drug, give out free drugs, because when you smile and you smile at someone, if they see you, they will physically, their body will respond with a smile. And your brain doesn't know if you're fake smiling or intentionally smiling. And it will release happy chemicals in your brain
right,
when you smile. So, one way we can do it is just smile at people,
right.
and the impact that has. I will never forget one time I don't know what was on my mind, but I was at the grocery store and getting the cart, and I'm about to start shopping, and this woman looked at me and she goes, "It can't be that bad. Put a smile on your face." And I didn't even realize that I was that was
Well,
where I
some people,
was.
they have a resting face that's not very lovely. Like, or they're if you're in thought, sometimes you're not grinning when you're thinking. Because you're women, we multitask. We can be doing 20 million things, and we could be driving and thinking about the 50 things we have to do when we get home.
Right,
So,
right.
it just sometimes you just don't. You're not smiling all the time, but if it's in your heart, and if you treat people kindly, you know,
Mhm.
even if
Yeah,
you're having a hard day, remember that there are people out there having probably the same problem, the same problem.
right,
And if you're
right.
kind and gracious, then, just think you might be paying it forward. They'll be like, oh, and then they're kind and gracious to the next, and then so on and so forth.
Correct, correct. Life is hard. Nobody gets out alive.
That's true.
Okay.
Harsh. Love it.
What
Use
is
that
my
from now
third
on.
question? My third question is, what is your favorite quote? And you quoted Maya Angelou, who has multiple quotes, but this particular one, you only are free when you realize you belong no place, you belong every place. No place at all. So every place. The price is high, the reward is great. How does that fit into belonging, or what what's your interpretation? Why did you pick that? And you may have others to share too, but expound.
It just the quote speaks to a spiritual journey of belonging, like not just like for groups or a place or like a women's group or title a place that has a title or anything. It's just yourself and God, your relationship hand in hand with Him. So it's your belonging with Him. You'll never be alone when you're joined with God. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. You'll never walk alone, the song. I think that real
A true
belonging,
belonging doesn't have to be fitting in. You know what I'm saying?
well,
It
your
doesn't have
belonging has to start with belonging to yourself.
right, and it's rooted in something deeper than yourself, right?
Right.
That's what. Yeah,
So your belonging is who you are, who God created you, amazingly created you, and has provided the path He wants you to walk with His breadcrumbs He gives you so that you can grow more and more into who He wants you to be for what He has you to do here. And
right.
that's
I don't
never,
always know. We don't always know what He wants us to do, and we don't always understand like when He takes somebody that's precious to you, and you don't always know His reasons, but there is a plan in place, and we just have God is good, and we just have to rely on Him and His divine wisdom that it's going to work out the way it's supposed to.
right.
And I truly believe that.
When I'm going through challenging times or dark times or confusing times, I always say, God is bigger.
Right.
God is bigger, bigger than the picture. I mean, He knows His plan is bigger. Everything about Him is bigger. He's more powerful. He can make a car have gas in it that's supposed to be empty and get you all the way home.
I'm telling you, if you read my book, I forget which chapter it is, but it is a doozy. Oh, my God story. Sorry, it's chapter 10. It is a doozy. I swear it is absolute truth. I found myself in the middle of nowhere in a deserty kind of a thing. And I wish they would make a Netflix movie about my life because it would
Well,
be so
I have a friend who helps people take their story and get it into an acceptable
see, God put you in
screenplay.
my path. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
God put
Jessica.
God put you in my path because I truly believe this is a story that
Oh,
is
I can see it. It's so colorful and it's got so much to it. And yes, yes. Um, I'll make sure that I get you ladies connected.
what you should do? You should read my book first.
Okay.
Make sure that that's something that you think would be before you recommend. You always want to do that because you don't want what if it's not what you like? You don't want to put yourself
All the
behind
chapters that I haven't read that you've already told me,
that.
it's great fodder for fun.
I'm telling you, it is a funny story, and I've had a crazy life, and a lot of stuff's happened to me. And even my mom's like, "I didn't know all that happened to you," and I'm like, "Yep,
Yep.
I've been a bad girl, I've been a good girl, and I'm swear I've done." I don't know how to explain it. It's just a story, but it's a funny story, and I think
It's your
everybody will find a
story.
little bit of
Yes.
themselves in it.
And
Yes.
they're always looking for things. Well, before we close, what parting words do you have? Unshameless
Well,
plug for how to find your book, whatever,
yes,
or
I'll shamelessly plug my book. And okay, so I do have a website people can go to, and um, it'll help you find my podcast, and it'll help you see some of the different episodes. And also, the people that come onto my podcast, I put their information on my website so that you can click into it and go to their, find out more information about them by clicking into it and going straight to their website. And so
awesome.
I kind of make that a link so that, I don't want to bring people information and they're like, well, what? Wait, do I have to rewind and write that down? No, no, go to my website, click on the episode. It'll take you directly to their information. So my website is www jessaying.net. So it's JESSSAYING.NET. And then also you can drop a line, leave me a message if you have an episode that you want to talk about and you want to be on one of my podcast episodes. I'm cool with it too. I'd take anybody. I also have a book. It's at Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble, Google Books, Apple Books, Bucket List from a Redneck Girl. Available all those places. I'm on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, which you can also find my. If you don't like going to Spotify, you can go to YouTube for my my podcast.
Is it audio or audio video?
Audio video. I mean, come on. You want to look at this beautiful face, right? No, I'm just teasing. I always tell people, I go, I'm a skinny girl in a fat girl's body. But I always say I'm not a coach because, there's a lot of people out there and they're pitching themselves to be coaches and this. And I'm like, I'm not a coach. I'm a mom that works 2 jobs from home and I'm trying to do a podcast, that wrote a book, and I'm doing a load of laundry and I'm trying to shush my kids, making sure they don't bother me while I'm on a podcast. My dogs are at my feet. So I'm just a mom. I'm just a normal, regular person. I like to talk. And so, in fact, in high school, they voted me to be the most likely to have this to win the Steven Spielberg Award because they thought I'd go out and make movies. I used to the other thing on my YouTube channel.
You're not over yet. Maybe there's gonna be.
So on my YouTube channel, you can see my video yearbook that I created for my high school. So I went around my high school videotaping because back then the VHS tapes were really big. So I videotaped my whole high school for the whole year. So I did a whole movie with music from '91, and in there it's just really crazy. So, but yeah, I'm on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the things, Instagram, X. Jess Saying with Jessica Danel is my podcast, and my book, Bucket List from a Redneck Girl. I'll get it.
Bucket List from a Redneck Girl. Love it. And yes, there are redneck areas in California.
Yeah, well, like we were talking about off camera.
California girl.
Yeah, okay, so I'm from Northern California, and I'm from a really small town, and hardworking farmers, and or blue collar workers, but I say redneck because people that are working outside and they get a little red on the neck when
That's where it comes from.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so I mean I'm not a white, it's not white trash, but it's hardworking American from a small Northern California town.
I love it. Love it. Oh, wow. Well, to our amazing guest, Jessica Danel, thank you. Thank you for this time you've given us. And to our listeners, belongers, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember, you belong. This is Dia Irby with Here Where You Belong podcast, signing off. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to Here Where You Belong. We hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace the beauty of belonging in your own life. Remember, no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. Join us again next time for more insightful conversations and heartwarming stories. Until then, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember that you belong.